Welcome to The Explainer. We're tackling something absolutely foundational today. If you've ever wanted to truly connect with native Spanish speakers, travel through Latin America or Spain, or honestly just understand the rich, vibrant tapestry of the Spanish-speaking world, you have to start with identity. So today, we're diving into a highly practical, conversational guide to navigating Spanish origins and identities. We're going to decode exactly how to talk about where you're from, and more importantly, how to proudly state who you are. All right, let's kick things off with literally the most fundamental question you're going to encounter in any Spanish conversation. ¿De dónde eres? Translated directly, this means from where are you? Guys, this is the ultimate universal icebreaker. Whether you're stepping off a plane in Madrid, ordering an espresso in Bogotá, or just bumping into a new neighbor, this phrase is your golden ticket into a conversation. It's how people invite you to share your origin story. So how exactly do you answer it? Well, the most basic, foolproof way is just to state yo soy de, which translates to I am from, followed immediately by the name of your country. So say you're from the United States, you just say yo soy de los Estados Unidos. It's a super simple, direct formula. Subject, verb, preposition, and location. Yo soy de plus your geography. It really is that straightforward. But, to actually use it, you kind of need to know the names of the countries first, right? To help you out with that, let's rapid fire through some of the amazing Spanish-speaking countries you might be from. Or, hey, maybe you're planning to visit. We've got Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, España, which is Spain, and Guatemala. Just hearing these names, right, you can almost feel the sheer geographic diversity, everything from the massive Andes Mountains all the way to the gorgeous Caribbean Sea. When someone asks, ¿de dónde eres?, any of these magnificent places could be the end of your sentence. And our journey just keeps going. Let's build up that geographical vocabulary even further. We have Guinea Equatorial over in Africa, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, La República Dominicana, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Wrap your head around that. That is 21 incredibly diverse nations, all unified by the Spanish language. Nailing down the Spanish pronunciation of these locations, that is absolutely step one to mastering your introductions. But let's shift gears for a second and take the conversation to the next logical step. See, sometimes people won't just ask where you're from geographically. They're actually asking about your identity. They'll throw out a slightly more specific, advanced question. ¿Cuál es tu nacionalidad? Or, what is your nationality? And this requires a totally different kind of answer. You're not just pinpointing a spot on a map anymore. You're using a descriptive adjective to say exactly who you are. The absolutely crucial point here is the grammatical shift that's happening. You move from saying, yo soy de México, I am from Mexico, to dropping that de entirely and changing the word into an adjective, yo soy mexicano. You are moving from a physical location to a specific describing word. And honestly, this is where Spanish gets incredibly fascinating, because adjectives in Spanish have to follow a very specific rule that we simply do not have in English. Think about our Mexican cultural heroes, for example. In Spanish, adjectives literally have to match the gender of the person they're describing. So if a man is speaking, he proudly says, yo soy mexicano, ending the word with an O. But if a woman is speaking, she changes that ending and says, yo soy mexicana, finishing with an A. It's a tiny little shift in spelling for sure, but it is a massive, unbreakable rule for speaking correctly. And this exact same grammatical shift happens across almost all nationalities. A Colombian man identifies as Colombiano, but a woman just swaps that O ending out for an A ending, making her Colombiana. Notice how the root of the word stays completely identical? You are literally just modifying that very last vowel to match whoever happens to be speaking. Let's lock this pattern in with just one more example. A man from Guatemala is a Guatemalteco, and a woman is a Guatemalteca. Once your brain recognizes this repeating pattern, masculine O, feminine A, you unlock this amazing ability to confidently declare your nationality without ever stumbling over the grammar. Seriously, it's going to become second nature to you. What's really cool is that you can organize these variations into a really simple, predictable matrix right in your head. Take a country like Peru. You just branch it off into Peruano for masculine and Peruana for feminine. If you can create a mental table exactly like this for all 21 Spanish-speaking countries, it will accelerate your fluency faster than almost any other trick out there. Thinking about a proud Peruano and Peruana side by side really drives home a powerful reminder.
Language isn't just a bunch of dry rules written on a page, right? It's how real people embody and express their culture and their identity every single day.
Okay, but how does this whole system build when we start talking about groups of people? What if you're not just talking about yourself, but your whole family or a massive group of friends? Well, in English, we just say the Mexicans or the Colombians, but Spanish requires us to make our adjectives plural to match the group, which just means adding an S or an ES to the end of that word we just learned how to build. When you expand this whole system out, you can really see it working together seamlessly. Argentino becomes Argentinos for a group of men, or honestly, even a mixed gender group. Cubana becomes Cubanas for a group of women. You can see how the O easily becomes O's and the A becomes as. This covers literally every possible combination of gender and number for these nationalities. You've now got the entire blueprint for describing any individual or group perfectly. Now come on. As with any language, there are always going to be a few exceptions to keep us on our toes. Not every single nationality ends in a neat little O or an A. Some of them end in an E, like Nicaragüense for someone from Nicaragua, or Costarricense for Costa Rica. Others end in a consonant, like Español for Spain. For these tricky ones, the gender doesn't change the word at all. It's exactly the same for both men and women. To make them plural, you just slap an S onto the E, making it Nicaragüenses, or an ES to the consonant, making it Españoles. Easy, right? But hey, beyond the formal textbook rules, there are some incredibly fun cultural Easter eggs hidden in the language. For example, while Costarricense is the official formal word for someone from Costa Rica, native speakers affectionately use the slang term tico for a guy or tica for a girl. It's a term of endearment and just immense national pride. Knowing colloquialisms like this, it instantly elevates your Spanish from sounding like you're reading a dictionary to sounding like a true insider.
Similarly, we have another fantastic, widely used cultural term, Boricua. This is how Puerto Ricans often proudly identify themselves, rather than using the formal, longer Puertorriqueño. It actually stems way back from the indigenous Taíno name for the island, Borican. When you hear someone call themselves a Boricua, you are hearing a deep historical connection directly to their roots. It's really powerful. So, whether someone introduces themselves formally as a Puertorriqueña or proudly declares they are Boricua, the base grammar rules totally still apply, but the cultural weight is entirely unique to that slang term. This right here is exactly why learning these nationality structures is so rewarding. You aren't just memorizing vocabulary, you're learning the actual code to human connection and cultural pride. And honestly, that brings us perfectly to the end of our explainer. We've conquered the geography, the grammar of gender, the rules for plurals, and we even threw in some local slang for good measure. So I want to turn that very first question back to you right now. ¿Y tú, de dónde eres? Take a second, use the rules we just discussed, and mentally formulate your own identity in Spanish. I highly encourage you to dive into the extra resources linked in the source material to keep practicing. So the next time you walk into a room full of new faces, how are you going to tell your story? Until next time, keep learning and keep connecting.